Born in the Bronx, Michael Gewirtz was the son of a New York City firefighter who passed away when he was just 2 years old. His mother raised him on her own until she passed away when he was 22. Around that time, Gewirtz met a group of guys who would become his lifelong friends.
I met Mike 40 years ago. It was 1980.
Everybody dealt with one another. If there was a problem, for some reason, it was everyone's problem.
Gewirtz earned a master's degree from NYU, then went to work for Con Ed, living on the Upper West Side. But in the early 2000s, he fell on tough times, losing his job and becoming homeless.
Basically, over a short period of time, all the things that came out of his apartment ended up in my garage.
As Mike bounced around the city, Steve Cortez says he always kept in touch with his friends. So when Mike stopped responding to phone calls in the middle of the pandemic, his friends feared the worst.
We were worried that he had literally become part of the system.
Jerry Jastrub had police open Mike's apartment. Nothing. Jerry remembered that Mike had 2 heart procedures at Lenox Hill Hospital. He tried the hospital over and over again until he says a doctor finally confirmed what the friends already knew in their hearts.
He said, I worked on Mike in the intensive care unit. Michael has gone to his heavenly abode.
They wanted to make sure Mike got a proper burial. Steve remembered paperwork Mike had left with him after the eviction.
A couple pieces of paper in there were very helpful, as it turned out.
He found a contract for a burial plot out on Long Island. Mike's dad had purchased 4 graves, and one was still available.
Once I found out that it was possible for him to be buried next to his mother and father, that then became the singular purpose.
But there was a problem. Mike had a half-sister, and the site was in her name. The guys eventually tracked her down. She hadn't seen Mike since their father died when he was 2, but she readily said he could have the plot. Just days later, Steve and Jerry buried Mike next to his parents. Soon, his gravesite will have a marker that tells Mike's story as simply as possible.
He was just a good friend and a real New Yorker.
Michael Gewirtz was 64 years old. His whole life, a New York City story. Joe Messeri, Pix 11 News.